What's going on? Everybody, this is Dave Guy. Dave Guy was a friend of mine growing up. He was, I think you're like 2 years older than me, and your brother's like a year younger than me.
That because how old are you, Ken?
I'm 52, 53.
I'll be 54 on Friday. So yeah,
Okay. So that's about right. You're 2 years older than me, and your brother's a year younger, right? So he's 51 or 50?
yeah, just turned 50.
Just turned 50. Oh, he's a fucking kid.
Yeah, he's 4 years younger than me.
Okay, right. So I, when we were growing up, of course, I knew your brother a little bit better because he was playing with, Chad Richardson and people like that.
Yeah,
And then once the circles started melding and the olders and youngers became sort of one,
one. Yeah.
that's when me and you started crossing paths a lot, and that was shortly before I came up to Toronto. Anyways, Dave Guy's an old friend of mine from back home. He's a musician, a stellar musician, and a great guy. And I was talking to him recently, and he told me he was up in Musgrave Harbour, and I thought, okay, I got to catch up with Dave and see what's going on. So, Musgrave Harbour, what's going on up there?
So yeah, so I decamped from St. John's out here to Musgrave Harbour. It would be 3 years in May, so it was just prior to the pandemic. It was if I saw it coming, and I got out of Dodge, and basically sort of somewhat semi-retired, I guess, living the country squire life out here with my wife. My kids are grown, so they don't need me anymore.
You're not running them around to hockey all the time
No,
anymore.
exactly. And so myself and Chris moved out here into the house that I inherited from my grandparents. It's the house that my
Oh,
grandfather was born and died in. Um,
wow.
yeah, pretty cool, eh? And
Those
now,
stories, they exist back home, right?
yeah, and now in my what used to be my grandmother's very quaint little private writing room with all of her prized possessions in it is now where I build guitars. So I have my workshop. My workshop is in the house, and I'm not sure how she would be happy that the house is being used, but I don't know how happy she would be that I'm doing it in her what used to be her living room.
Right. Well, I don't know that she has much choice anymore, really, right?
That is very true.
Yeah. Um, well, and how's the scene out in Musgrave Harbor? Like, is there a scene?
There's not, but it
Okay.
does. It's a very small community, and certainly, I mean, the first summer I came out here, it actually I played more the first summer I was out here than I had in years because I was sort of centrally located, so I could go east or west just as easily. Whereas when you're in St. John's, it's too far to go west.
Yes.
Uh, you know,
And
so
there's some
you
great
kind of play
spots out
around.
there.
You kind of play around town a little bit and stuff. But at being centrally located, I was able to go east and west. So I've played out on the west coast in Corner Brook and Stephenville and Springdale and stuff. All places that I'd never played before. Some places I'd never been before. And then up into Rocky Harbor and Woody Point and stuff like that.
So beautiful there.
And it's been fantastic. It's been fantastic. Now, unfortunately, the summer I came out was one of my busiest summers after ever, and then of course the following summer was not so busy. I had 27 dates canceled at the beginning of the pandemic, and then sort of spent a lot of time putzing around in the garden with myself and Chris,
Yeah.
and riding my bicycle up and down the shore.
Yes, I saw lots of posts about you riding your bike.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know any better is the problem.
Well, you're staying active. I'm having a hard time with that. I was talking to my buddy Brian Finley last night, and we always compare steps because he's got a counter on his watch.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And he said, "How many steps are you up to today?" I said, "Well, including coming over here to answer the phone, I think 36." And it's not easy to stay active, I gotta say. So, Dave, you're up there. You're still gigging. You're with your lovely wife. Hi, Chris, wherever you are, and your kids are grown. And
Yeah,
now I see all of a sudden. I know you've had Boogaloo for years. You've done repairs and you've done your own builds
yeah.
for a long time. But now I'm seeing you more active than ever with pedals and electronics.
Yeah, well, my plan when I moved out here, the biggest thing was is that what am I going to do? Like, what's going to
Yeah,
be my day job out here? And I mean, there was a little bit of repair work. I have a deal with a shop in Gander that I do pick up and drop off out of and stuff. So there is a little bit of repair work, surprisingly more than I thought there would be, but it's great. But I've always sort of thought what I needed was some kind of product, something that I could sell either online that didn't require me to have a storefront, that
yeah,
didn't require me to be in a metropolitan area and stuff. And so I've been kind of, I mean, I've always sort of futzed around with this kind of stuff. Amplifiers are too big and too expensive
yeah.
for shipping, and it takes me a long time to build one. Whereas pedals are very shippable, and I can kind of knock them off by order in a couple of days, and I can also afford to do the research and development to come up with some new designs and stuff. So I don't know. A couple of months ago, I was talking to an old bandmate of mine, Sean Harris, who said that he was interested in finding a little boost. He has this GNL ASAT that he just wanted to have a little onboard boost that would boost it, probably 9 or 10 dB.
No
And I
clean
said, well,
boost.
I could probably, yeah, clean boost, exactly. He said, I could probably build you something like that. So I started poking around in my books and came up with a design and found a circuit that would work well and that was easy to build and economical and also clean. Like I didn't want a whole bunch of stuff in the signal
Yeah.
path. And uh, I put it together, and man, it sounded like $1,000,000. It sounded great. And so I whacked it in a box and painted it up real pretty, and put it online. And in the first week, I sold almost a dozen of them. And
I saw it and I was immediately, because I mean, a nice transparent clean boost is hard to find, like a true bypass type thing.
yeah, I mean, the thing is that there's lots of great pedals out there, but everybody there's way too many bells and whistles on a
Yeah,
lot of it, right? Too many switches, too much EQ. You don't need anything. I don't need any of that, right? I've got a really clean signal path. I've got a really good amplifier. I just want it to be a little bit louder,
exactly.
um, right?
Yeah,
And also you can use this either as a boost for slows and
yeah,
so on, but it also it allows you to hit the front end of your amplifier a little harder, which means that if you're looking for that sort of growly Princeton deluxe kind of sound, but don't want the amplifier ripping your head off, you
exactly.
can get it on the front end instead of the back end. And so very often, you might put the clean boost on and you'll leave it on because
Yes.
it's set it and forget it kind of deal, because it's really just setting up the tone for the front end of the amplifier. So for a box that has one switch and one knob, it's extremely versatile.
It's, I do a bit of work with these, sort of pedals that have everything in them,
Yeah,
and they're great. But I do prefer a pedal board with individual, things doing a small thing each, especially with compressors and gains and stuff like that.
yeah, yeah, for sure, for
And
sure.
you've got another one too, which is a similar thing. It was an amp attenuator, right? So you can actually get the dirt without the volume.
Exactly. Yeah. So for years, people have been, bringing me for repairs. The Fender amplifiers, the Hot Rod series. The Hot Rod Deluxe and the Hot Rod Hills. I've
Yep.
owned a bunch of them myself. I used them for years. I love them. They're great amplifiers. The problem is that even though it's only a 40-watt amp, it's too damn loud.
Yes.
You got in order to get it to the point where it starts to really sing, it's too loud. Now we can get into the reasons why that is, but it really doesn't matter. It's just too loud.
Most people don't want that. My wife is downstairs now going, "Oh God, Ken's talking about gear again." There are so many things that people don't understand about the back end of music, and it's a thousand of these little things.
Little things, exactly.
Um,
My wife, Chris, refers to it as blah 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 Fender.
she's not far
Um,
off. She's not far off.
so
But
so
the
I I had read about a little, basically a little volume box that you could use in the effects loop of those amplifiers.
Yeah.
And basically, all it is a 1 meg. It's just another volume control, really, but it goes in between the preamp and the master, so you don't have to attenuate the preamp. So you're getting all the oomph from the preamp, but you're able to sort of tame it down before it goes to the power amplifier.
Yeah.
And I've built those a bunch of times. For guys, and they work really, really well.
The pedal version
so
of yours looks great.
I basically just sort of made it a little prettier. I used to make them in whatever box I had around, but I put this one together in a fancy little silver box.
That's beautiful.
And it worked great. And I've sold a bunch of those. And then years ago, when I was living in Vancouver, I worked at a shop called Not Just Another Music Shop, which was a fantastic little boutique shop in Vancouver. And we were the first Canadian dealers for THD, which is Andy Marshall out of I believe it's in Seattle or Washington. I can't exactly remember where he's from, but he made a little product called the Hot Plate,
Yes.
which was basically a post power section attenuator. And it was a little. I think Marshall used to make one as well called the Power Break. But it always seemed to wreck the tone as well. Like it did
They
what
switched it up a bit much.
But it kind of made it kind of reedy and didn't sound very good. Now the Andy's Hot Plate sounded fantastic. Anyway, they're quite an expensive gadget, although it works really well. But they were at the time really expensive. It was like buying another amplifier.
Yeah.
And poking around and being the geek that I am, at 4 o'clock in the morning, scouring the internet for, little projects and stuff like that, I came across an article in a magazine from the UK who basically had a design, a DIY design for the same kind of, under the same kind of principle. And I built one and tried it out, and damn if it didn't work really, really well. And I'm able to sell them for considerably less than others that are on the market, and they sound really great. And so it's this one here, which is called the Good Neighbor.
That's a great one. I like that one. Yeah, I'm gonna get me one of those.
Yeah, and it works great. You know what? And it does, and without it, it's the compromise without any compromise, because it does allow you to bring the volume down, but it still sounds really good.
Exactly.
So a lot of times, if you turn down the volume or you go to headphones or something, it doesn't sound like your rig anymore. Where these seem to really work in maintaining the integrity of your tone that we've all spent years and years and years chasing.
Exactly.
But it allows you to turn it down so that the people that love you will continue to love you.
Well, all those years of chasing tone have led us to a place where we understand how it works now, but our ears are too partially deaf and sensitive to fucking deal with the volume. So these things are great. I'm using a like a low wattage amp here on a very, very low volume, and I'm a big fan of the quiet.
Yeah, well, it's fun years because with recording, a friend of mine, engineer and producer in Halifax, Lawrence Curry, always used to say, "Small amp, big sound."
Absolutely. I mean, right? Queens of the Stone Age, bands like that. That's how they get those massive tones. These little tiny amps.
Little tiny amplifiers just roast it.
Exactly. It's a wonderful trick. Yeah, well, Dave, we're going to get back to some music. How's Irish Day going out there? Oh no, Irish Day is tomorrow for you, right?
Tomorrow the 17th. Yeah, it is, isn't it?
I think so. I don't even know.
Yeah, Friday's the 18th. Friday is my birthday.
Oh yes.
So really, it's David's Day, not St. Patrick's Day.
Ah, see, I didn't know that. I'll drink to David from now on.
Perfect.
David Guy, he's on Facebook. I'm sure you got a Boogaloo website, right?
Facebook, Boogaloo Productions on Facebook, or my personal page. You can contact me either way. Okay. I've got a whole bunch of new things out now. I've got a really cool little fuzz pedal out.
New distortion pedal. I checked it out today online. Your demo looks great.
That's now, and I have the Bonzer what's called a trem pre, and it's
Yep.
basically a tremolo and preamp all in one box. And so I'm sort of developing. I got a few other little things coming up, and sort of developing a little line. It's great. I've got a ring modulator to go with the fuzz pedal too. That'll be pretty cool.
Oh, nice. Oh, you're hard at it,
And
boy.
I do
Found
custom
something to do.
cabling.
What's that?
I did. I have. And by all means, if you have anything you need, or you just want to talk gear,
Oh, yeah.
drop me a line.
I'll be back to you soon enough, Dave. But it's been nice catching up. I hope everybody back home's had a nice time catching up with you tonight too. And people that don't know you interested in the gear, look him up. Dave Guy back home in Musgrave Harbour, Newfoundland. Say hi to
Cheers,
Chris
buddy.
for me.
I will.
Yeah. And we'll talk to you soon, buddy. You take care.
Take care.
Cheers.
All right. Bye bye.